Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel Bubbie Pins. I'm Bubbie, where I like to take the things that I've learned in my life and pass them on to you. If you like it, pin it. If not, just scroll on, different strokes for different folks. Okay, today's topic is biting and hitting. Not necessarily grown-ups doing this, hopefully you learned in childhood, but for little tiny ones, biting and hitting, and let's go real specific, biting and hitting your mother. Okay, so the first time a child is going to bite you is if you're nursing them. So you're nursing them and all of a sudden, you get a bite. And luckily, the way God did this, He gave us babies without teeth. It would be really horrible if they were born with little choppers, right? We wouldn't like that so much. So He gave us these babies without teeth, but we know their jaws are pretty darn strong. If anybody's nursed a baby who gave a chomp, it's not exactly a fun moment. That's the moment you put your two fingers in their mouth, take them aside, and look at them and say never. Not no. Never. Because no has a connotation as in the minute. But never means not in any minute. And then look at the baby. Baby could be 1 month old. Look at the baby. Never. Right? 10 seconds that look goes. Then take the baby, nurse the baby again. When the baby, because this will happen again, does it again, you do and repeat the exact same thing. Never. Now, if you are let's move on a couple months and maybe you're feeding your baby and maybe your baby doesn't want it, so the baby hits your hand and hits the thing out of your hand. Again, look the baby in the eye, take their hand, say never. All done? This is the sign for all done. They don't have the words, but they want to communicate. So they don't know how to communicate yet. So if they do a communication skill like hitting you and pushing everything on the ground as a way to know that they're all done, this is not acceptable. They may never hit you. A child who hits you at 2 has probably started when they were 6 months old, right? So it's hold their hand firm, not hard, no black and blue marks, no finger mark. Just hold their hand, look them in the eye. Never, right? Never. So let's move it up along, and now your child is going through what they call the terrible twos. So now your child is going through the terrible twos. Now what do? So your child doesn't want to do something, and your child just reaches out, grabs your hand, and gives a bite. Okay, you have a problem. If by this point that your child is giving a bite, I promise you, in the past, your child has given a bite, and you didn't stop him, or you thought it was cute, or you told everybody else but not the child, and you're like, ow, ow, what's going on? And you didn't actually stop the behavior. So now, this is called a fixed behavior. This is no longer teaching them as they're going the proper behavior. It's not even reactive as opposed to proactive. This is actually a fix. So you have to take this child, hold their mouth very gently. Again, no squeezing, just getting their face to go towards you, getting their eyes towards you, and you say, look at me. Never bite anyone. Then you stare at them, release your hand. Now, I want to put a warning sign in right here. If when you tell that child this and say, never bite anyone, if they do this with their eyes, and you say, look at me, and they take their eyes and they do this, that is no longer a biting problem. That's a defiance problem. There's a relationship problem between you and your child, where you're asking your child to do something, and your child is now saying, no, I will not. So in that moment, don't let them have the power. In that moment, when they're going like this, say, thank you for looking at me, as if they were. It's going to confuse them like crazy, which is fine. You say, thank you for looking at me. Now remember this, never bite anyone. Hold them, continue, even if their eyes are like this, right? And then release, and then hug them. This is the most important part of a discipline. After you discipline a child, you have to stare at them to get the message in for 10 seconds, and then bring them in for a hug to let them know that the person who's disciplining them, the person who's teaching them, discipline means teach. It doesn't mean hit or beat, never do that. It means teach. The person who is teaching them loves them. This is very important. Now, the last part of this skill I'm going to teach you, and this is for every single lesson you teach your child during the day. At night, when you're putting your child to bed, and your child is all relaxed and you already read the bedtime story, then you kiss your child on the head, and then you whisper in his ear, "I love you," and then say, "Remember the skill that you learned today. Never bite anyone." It's a very important skill. I'm very proud of you for learning that today. I'll see you in the morning. That is like the glue and the seal on it. Now let's say the next day your child does it again. Okay, well, if he does it again, you do exactly the same thing over and over again. Just because you teach something doesn't mean they learned it. You teach it until they learned it. Now remember, I said if they went like this with their eyes, that's no longer a biting problem. That's a defiance problem. So we'll have a video coming up on defiance. Right now, enjoy this Bubbie pins and have a good day.